You know this tiny snack, the one at every baseball game, every backyard BBQ, every kid's lunchbox? It starts here, in an industrial grinder with animal lips, eyelids, organs, and every single part of the animal the meat industry cannot sell as actual meat. Welcome to the real story of hot dog production, where these miniature links hide massive secrets. That juicy bite you love, that smoky flavor, it begins with pink paste made from parts you would never voluntarily eat, ground into a smooth slurry, mixed with chemicals, stuffed into synthetic casings, and sold as an American tradition. This has been hiding in plain sight for over 100 years. 20 billion hot dogs consumed in America annually. Almost nobody knows what actually goes inside these tiny tubes. Here's the thing that will blow your mind. These hot dogs are miniature, just 5 to 8 centimeters long, the size of your finger. But the factory workers? Normal size. The equipment? Massive compared to the tiny products. Watch as giant human hands manipulate these miniature links. See industrial machines processing thousands of tiny hot dogs. The scale is surreal. And the truth? Even more shocking. Buckle up. We're going inside the hot dog mega factory. Before we dive into this miniature nightmare, let's get some facts crystal clear. Fact 1. The term hot dog doesn't appear anywhere in USDA regulations. Officially, they're called frankfurters or wieners. The name hot dog is pure marketing. Fact 2. Americans eat an average of 70 hot dogs per person every single year. That's 20 billion hot dogs annually. Laid end to end, that would circle the earth 26 times. Fact 3. Hot dogs are not required to contain actual meat in the traditional sense. They can legally contain up to 20% mechanically separated pork and unlimited mechanically separated chicken or turkey. What does mechanically separated mean? Keep watching. You're about to find out, and you will never forget it. Fact 4. The average hot dog contains between 8 and 15 ingredients, but on the label you'll see 20 to 30 listed. Why? Because many ingredients have multiple chemical names. Fact 5. That characteristic pink color inside a cooked hot dog? That's not natural. Cooked meat paste would be gray. The pink comes from sodium nitrite, a preservative that's been controversial for decades. But here's what nobody talks about: the scale of production. These tiny hot dogs, miniature compared to human hands, are produced in massive quantities, thousands per minute, rolling off assembly lines, handled by workers who look giant beside them. The contrast is jarring. Tiny products, giant humans, industrial efficiency at impossible speed. So how do you transform animal scraps into these miniature tubes? How do you make lips, eyelids, and organs taste like ballpark franks? And how do massive factories produce billions of tiny links without consumers questioning what's inside? The answer is industrial food science, chemical engineering, and very, very good marketing. Let's follow the journey, from slaughterhouse scraps to miniature stadium snacks. This is the complete process, nothing hidden. Step 1. The collection of parts nobody wants. Industrial refrigerated trucks arrive daily at hot dog processing plants. They're carrying bins of what the meat industry calls trimmings. These aren't steaks. These aren't chicken breasts. These aren't pork chops. These are the leftovers, the parts that remain after valuable cuts are sold to restaurants and grocery stores. What exactly are trimmings? Let's be specific. From pork, fat, skin, connective tissue, facial meat including lips and snout, organ meats like hearts, diaphragm muscle, tongue meat, basically everything that's technically edible but not aesthetically appealing. From chicken, skin, fat, dark meat scraps, mechanically separated tissue from carcasses after breast and thigh meat is removed, connective tissue, organ meats. From beef, fatty trimmings, connective tissue, organ meats, less common in hot dogs due to cost, but used in some premium varieties. Now, here's something important. These materials are not rotten. They're not contaminated. They're perfectly safe USDA-inspected animal tissue. The issue isn't safety. The issue is appearance and consumer perception. If you saw these parts on a plate, you'd probably refuse to eat them. But ground into smooth paste and reformed into miniature tubes, suddenly acceptable. The meat arrives frozen in massive blocks weighing 40 to 60 pounds each. Workers use specialized saws to break blocks into chunks small enough for processing. Look at the variety. Some chunks are pale, mostly fat. Some are dark red, organ meat or blood-rich muscle. Some are pink, standard muscle tissue. All of it goes into the same system, mixed together, no separation by type. And here's where the miniature scale becomes evident. Workers handling these chunks look massive. Their hands dwarf the final product size. But right now, they're breaking down large frozen blocks. The chunks get loaded into industrial grinders, and this is where the transformation begins. The grinder is not your kitchen appliance. This is an industrial meat processing system capable of handling thousands of pounds per hour. The frozen chunks drop into a massive hopper. Rotating augers grab the material and force it towards a series of blades. These blades are sharp, hardened steel, rotating at high speed. They don't just cut, they pulverize. Bone fragments sliced through. Tough cartilage destroyed. Connective tissue shredded into microscopic fibers. The grinding process generates extreme heat from friction, so much heat that the meat would actually start cooking if not constantly cooled. That's why chilled water circulates through the grinding system, keeping temperature below 40 degrees throughout processing. What emerges from this grinder is truly remarkable. A completely smooth paste, pink, uniform, unrecognizable as any specific animal part. This is mechanically separated meat, abbreviated as MSM in industry documents. It looks like strawberry soft-serve ice cream, smooth, thick, flowing like batter. But it's meat. Every tissue type, muscle, fat, connective tissue, organs, blended into perfect homogeneity. The USDA requires that products containing MSM must label it. So check your hot dog package. It will say mechanically separated chicken or mechanically separated pork. But the label doesn't show you this paste. It doesn't show you the grinding, the pink slurry, the original parts. Now here's the problem. This paste alone doesn't taste like hot dogs. It doesn't have the right texture or color or shelf life or flavor. Raw mechanically separated meat tastes bland, slightly metallic, unpleasant. So how do you transform bland meat paste into something people crave at baseball games? Chemistry. The meat paste moves to mixing tanks. These are enormous industrial blenders, each holding 1,000 to 2,000 pounds of mixture. Now comes the ingredient addition, and this is where hot dogs become more chemical than meat. First, water. Up to 10% of the final hot dog weight can be added water. The USDA allows this. Why add water? 2 reasons. 1, it makes the paste easier to pump and work with. 2, water weighs money. More weight equals more product to sell. Second, salt. About 2% of total weight. That's roughly 500 milligrams per hot dog. Your entire daily recommended sodium intake is 2,300 milligrams. So 2 hot dogs give you almost half your daily sodium. Third, sodium nitrite. This is the controversial chemical. Sodium nitrite does several things. It prevents botulism bacteria from growing, crucial for safety. It enhances flavor, and most importantly, it creates that pink color. Without sodium nitrite, cooked meat paste would be gray, unappealing, unsellable. But here's what nobody talks about. When nitrite is heated, it can form compounds called nitrosamines. These are classified as probable human carcinogens. The meat industry says the amounts are tiny and safe. Health organizations say cumulative lifetime consumption is risky. The debate continues. Fourth, sweeteners. Yes, hot dogs contain sugar, usually corn syrup or dextrose, about 2 to 3% of the weight. This balances the saltiness and enhances flavor. Fifth, phosphates. These help bind water and fat together. Without phosphates, the mixture would separate, oil floating on top of watery meat. Sixth, spices. Paprika for color and flavor, garlic powder,
onion powder, mustard powder, white pepper, coriander. The exact blend is proprietary. Each manufacturer has their secret recipe. 7th, flavoring. This is listed as natural flavors or artificial flavors on labels. What does it actually mean? Chemical compounds designed to make the paste taste like hot dog instead of random meat parts. Some manufacturers add smoke flavor at this stage instead of actual smoking later. It's cheaper and faster. All these ingredients get pumped into the mixing tank with the meat paste. The mixture blends for 10 to 15 minutes, industrial paddles rotating, everything incorporating perfectly. The color changes. The sodium nitrite reacts with meat proteins. The paste turns from dark pink to light pink, almost salmon-colored. The texture changes. The water and phosphates make it smoother, more liquid, easier to pump. What you have now is hot dog batter.
The batter gets pumped through stainless steel pipes to the stuffing machines. These machines are fast. Some can produce 10,000 hot dogs per hour. That's nearly 3 per second. The batter flows into a hopper. High-pressure pumps force it into casings, the skin of the hot dog. Traditional casings were made from animal intestines, natural casings. Some premium brands still use these. They're edible. You eat them. But most modern mass-produced hot dogs use cellulose casings. These are synthetic, made from plant fiber pulp. Non-edible, must be removed after cooking. Why use synthetic? They're cheaper, more consistent in size, don't tear as easily, and can be manufactured to precise dimensions. The casings come on large spools. They're loaded onto the stuffing machine. As batter pumps in, the casing inflates, creating long tubes of pink paste. Workers monitor this constantly, watching for tears, checking for air bubbles, making sure flow is consistent. And here is where you see the miniature scale clearly. These hot dogs are tiny, just 5 to 8 centimeters when finished, maybe the width of your thumb. Workers' hands look enormous beside them. The contrast is striking. Why make them miniature? These are cocktail franks, smaller hot dogs served as appetizers or in dishes like pigs in blankets. There's a huge market for them. The stuffed casings look like continuous tubes. They need to be separated into individual links. A linking machine does this. Metal fingers grab the casing at regular intervals, every 5 centimeters, then twist, creating pinch points. Twist, 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 hundreds per minute. Now you have strings of tiny miniature hot dogs, like tiny sausage necklaces, hanging from racks. They're still raw, still in casings, still need cooking. The racks roll into smokehouses. These are enormous industrial ovens with smoke circulation systems. The hot dogs cook at carefully controlled temperatures, usually 160 to 170 degrees Fahrenheit, for 2 to 4 hours. Why so long? 2 reasons. First, safety. The internal temperature must reach 165 degrees Fahrenheit to kill any bacteria. With thousands of tiny links hanging close together, even heat distribution takes time. Second, flavor. The smoke must penetrate the casings and infuse the meat. This takes hours. The smoke comes from burning hardwood, usually hickory, sometimes maple or apple wood. The smoke contains hundreds of chemical compounds that add flavor and color. Watch the hot dogs during cooking. They start pale pink. By the end, they're darker, slightly brownish. The smoke creates that characteristic color. The sodium nitrite also works during cooking. It chemically locks in the pink color inside. That's why cut hot dogs stay pink even after cooking, not gray like normal cooked meat. After cooking, the hot dogs are done, fully cooked, safe to eat. You could eat them right now without further cooking at home. But they're still in the casings. Natural casings stay on, they're edible. Cellulose casings must be removed. A peeling machine does this. The cooked links feed through rollers that grip the casing and strip it away in long continuous sheets. Workers guide the process, making sure casings peel cleanly, checking for tears or damage. What emerges? Naked miniature hot dogs. Smooth, pink, tiny. They look almost toy-like in workers' giant hands. Now comes quality control and packaging. So, is this disgusting, or is it actually genius efficiency? According to Dr. Martin Blaser, food science professor at Rutgers University,
Mechanically separated meat is one of the most efficient uses of animal resources in modern food production. We're taking parts that humans historically discarded and converting them into affordable protein. From a food safety standpoint, MSM is perfectly safe when properly processed. It's inspected, it's cooked thoroughly, the additives are FDA approved at specific levels. The issue isn't safety, it's consumer perception. People are disconnected from food production. They want meat that doesn't look like it came from an animal. But from a nutrition standpoint, that's where criticism comes in. Dr. Jennifer Martinez, nutritionist and author of Processed: The Hidden Costs of Modern Food, explains, hot dogs are classified as ultra-processed food, high in sodium, high in saturated fat, contain preservatives linked to increased cancer risk. The American Institute for Cancer Research recommends avoiding processed meats entirely. Studies show regular consumption is associated with 18% increased colorectal cancer risk. And here's what people don't realize. These miniature hot dogs might be tiny, but they're dense in calories and sodium. 3 of these mini links equals 1 regular hot dog in nutrition content. The meat industry responds through the National Hot Dog and Sausage Organization. Yes, that's a real organization. Eric Mithenthal, president of the council, says, hot dogs have been part of American culture for a century. They're affordable, convenient, and produced under strict USDA oversight. The use of mechanically separated meat allows us to prevent waste and keep prices low. Without it, hot dogs would cost 3 to 4 times more. Regarding sodium nitrite, it's been used safely for decades. The amount in single hot dog is far below any level of concern. The benefits for food safety outweigh theoretical risks. So, who's right? The truth is, both sides have valid points. Yes, hot dogs use parts people find unappetizing, but those parts are nutritious and safe. Yes, hot dogs contain preservatives and additives. Those chemicals serve purposes: safety, flavor, color, shelf life. Yes, hot dogs are ultra-processed and high in sodium. That's factually accurate. Regular consumption isn't healthy. But hot dogs aren't marketed as health food. They're marketed as convenience, tradition, fun. And in that context, they succeed brilliantly. Here are some wild facts about hot dogs that most people never learn. Fact: the world's longest hot dog was made in Paraguay in 2011. It measured 203.8 meters long, over 600 feet, required 200 pounds of sausage. Fact: Americans buy 350 million packages of hot dogs annually. That's over $2.4 billion in sales. Fact: the busiest hot dog consumption season is between Memorial Day and Labor Day, called hot dog season by the industry. July 4th alone sees 150 million hot dogs consumed. Fact: the average person eating a hot dog at a baseball game will finish it in 6 bites. Industry studies track this. They optimize hot dog length for bite count. Fact: hot dog casings used to come exclusively from sheep intestines. It took 90 feet of sheep intestine to make enough casings for 1,000 hot dogs. Now, cellulose casings eliminated that need. Fact: the pink meat paste used in hot dogs has a technical term in food science: emulsified meat product. Under microscope, you can see that fat particles are suspended uniformly throughout the meat matrix. That's what creates the smooth texture. Fact: some manufacturers add beef or pork blood to hot dog batter. It's listed as protein on labels. Blood is high in protein and iron, adds nutrition, and enhances color. Perfectly legal, not always disclosed clearly. Fact: the longest shelf life for packaged hot dogs is 2 weeks refrigerated. That's due to sodium nitrate preservation. Without it, they'd spoil in 3 to 5 days. Fact: there's no such thing as a healthy hot dog. Even chicken or turkey hot dogs are ultra-processed and high sodium. All beef hot dogs are actually worse, higher in saturated fat. And here's the wildest fact. The factories that produce these miniature hot dogs, they often run 24 hours a day, 3 shifts, continuous production, billions of tiny links rolling off lines every single year. The workers, they've processed so many millions of miniature hot dogs that they could do it blindfolded. Those giant human hands handling tiny links have touched hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, over the course of a career. The scale of industrial food production is staggering when you really think about it. So, there you have it. the complete journey of miniature hot dogs. From slaughterhouse trimmings, lips, eyelids, organs, and fat, through industrial grinding into smooth pink paste, mixed with water, salt, sodium nitrite, sugar, and spices, stuffed into synthetic casings, cooked with smoke, peeled, inspected, packaged. From rejected scraps to beloved ballpark snacks. These tiny links reveal massive truths about industrial food production. The efficiency is impressive. Every part of the animal used, nothing wasted. Affordable protein created from materials that would otherwise be discarded. The chemistry is sophisticated, multiple additives working together to create specific flavor, color, texture, and shelf life. The scale is mind-boggling. Billions produced annually, handled by workers whose hands look giant beside these miniature products. But here's the ultimate question. Does knowing this change how you feel about hot dogs? For some people, yes, absolutely. They'll never eat another hot dog. The image of that pink meat paste, the list of ingredients, the mechanically separated lips and eyelids. Too much. For others, it's just information. Interesting, maybe surprising, but not life-changing. They'll still eat hot dogs because they taste good, because they're tradition, because they're convenient. And for a third group, this knowledge actually creates appreciation for the efficiency, for the food science, for the fact that humans figured out how to use every part of the animal instead of wasting it. There's no right answer, just personal choice based on personal values. What is undeniable, the contrast between these tiny finished products and the massive industrial truth behind them is striking. Giant workers manipulating miniature meat tubes, enormous factories producing billions of fingernail-sized links. The scale emphasizes the disconnect between source and product. Hot dogs are cultural icons, American tradition, baseball, 4th of July, backyard grill.